Well, I'm here with Jon Keeyes, director of Speed Demon. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Not bad. I don't know if this was an inspiration or not, but I feel like one of the things missing from this is the Crypt Keeper showing up at the beginning and end of this movie because I got heavy Tales from the Crypt Presents vibes from this.
That is amazing. And actually, I take that as a huge compliment.
Excellent.
Yeah,
You
I
never
mean
know with
that's
some people.
no, exactly. Well, and that what that tells me is you got it. You got the vibe and the gist of the movie. And that was I keep telling everybody, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a horror movie for nerds. It knows exactly what it is and it wants to have a lot of fun and it makes a lot of nods. And I want people just to be entertained. And so yeah, that's really great. Crypt Keeper would have been phenomenal to start and end this.
So what's kind of like the balance when doing something like this? Because like you go too far one way, and it's gonna be too way too campy or cheesy, and you go too far the other way, and it's gonna take itself way too seriously. You got to kind of read that line. We're having fun, but we're not gonna be too stupid, but we're not gonna get too self-serious either.
Right. That was a line that I had to play with for many months before we started filming as Domenico and I continued to work on the script. Because his original script, which I loved, was incredibly campy. And I didn't want to go that campy, but then we kind of went too serious and then I'm like, okay, now I feel like we're just making any other type of horror movie. And so we just continuously were riding the line, trying to find that line between serious and comedy and campy and nerdy and all those kind of things. And I kind of went back and I particularly like movies from the 80s, the TV series Warrior Nun, lots of these sort of campy, what could have been overly campy stories, trying to find a vibe and a tone that felt authentic and never made it feel like we were trying. I never wanted the audience to feel like we were trying to create scares or that we were trying to create laughs. I wanted everybody to be authentic and natural and just let the circumstances become the absurdity of it. And I think once we kind of keyed in on that, it allowed everybody else to kind of figure out the tone and the pace without it going too far in one direction.
How'd you get William H. Macy in this? Because this doesn't seem like something you typically see him in, which
So
also kind of threw me off from the beginning.
no, and it was funny was so Bill got the script and we like anything you send the actor goes out from a casting director to the actors and then you kind of wait to get the feedback and then we got the feedback that Bill wanted to do the movie and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing, that's going to be phenomenal. And so Bill and I talked for the first time and he was joking, he's like, at least at the point that we made Speed Demon, he was wanting to get away from doing movies that were too violent. And not that this one I think is overtly violent in a lot of respects, but he was just wanting to get away from that. And he said, yeah, he goes, my one of his kids read the script and was basically like, Dad, you have to make this movie. You have to be in this movie. And he was like, all right, well, let me give it a second read. And he sort of found for him what's important is finding the humanity in a character. And he got sold. And being able to work with him was a joy. We had him for a few days and an absolute pro to be around, an absolute gentleman to be around. It was amazing working with him.
What can you say about the effects in this? Because they look pretty good for the most part. It's like, but with the, I don't know what the budget is for this, but usually with movies like this, they're usually not very good, and I think a lot of that has to do with money or time or being too ambitious with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and it was surrounding. I mean, and you're right. And this was a movie that could very easily have become that. And it was important to me to surround myself with really good, talented people. And in a way, I don't want to say I called in favors, but a lot of the people who worked on this movie, particularly in those realms of VFX and FX, were people that I've known for a very long time. Richard Claybaugh, who was our VFX supervisor. Richard, I mean, he's an old time Dimension director of photography back in the days of Dimension with a bunch of those movies. But Richard and his company, Out of Our Minds, Danny Oakley, they came in as the VFX supervisors, and they're like, "Wow, this is going to be huge." And we worked together in pre-production to figure out how to make it work with the budget we have. None of that. Nobody wanted to compromise. Nobody wanted to make anything cheesy. And I think that they just did a phenomenal job. But it was just a lot of people who believed in the project, bringing their A game to make it as good as possible.
So this, I guess, probably more of a see how the sausage is made. Might be too granular, but like when you're coming up with so you have the script and you're trying to put the budget together. How do you do that? Do you just know that Charlie that does effects is going to always charge $10,000 on things, or are they going to get on set? It's like, you know what? We need more latex than we thought we did, so we're going to.
Usually it's the idea is that you go, the producers or the producers, everybody goes to each of the department heads, and after, like, they'll submit an initial budget of what they think it's going to cost, having an idea of what the budget is, but here's what each department thinks it's going to cost. And then myself and the department have a conversation about what I would really like to see out of the movie. Also, once again, trying to be realistic about what the budget is. Then the producers come back and go, okay, so this is what you can actually afford. And then we work together to figure out how to refine the script, refine shots, or things like that to help fit in. I would rather go smaller and make sure that we've done it right than try to stretch it out into too many big places and then it all looks bad. And so, like, for example, Greg Gillespie, who was my FX makeup artist, there were definitely certain things that were incredibly important to us that we needed to sell. And then there were other effects that were in the movie that we both wanted, but the budget couldn't support. So we just found creative ways to make those things adapt and change to still be true to the story, but not have to worry about going crazy on the budget. So it was a lot of hand in hand working together, creatively modifying, but still staying true to the overall vibe of what we wanted.
Yeah. So like the producers, like, we can afford the train and nothing else. Oh, I guess we're shooting the train for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Then I probably would. I'm the wrong guy for this job.
Where are some changes that you had to make to the script? Something that didn't make it into the movie. It's like, that would have been cool, but the budget or timing or whatever just didn't allow, or maybe it just didn't fit the movie and we had to cut it for whatever reason.
No, it's funny is we actually, so everything that was in the script was actually reshot. There wasn't anything that we cut. I mean, we didn't cut anything in editing. I think if anything, the opening scene, actually all of the flashbacks, sister Lou as a little girl, was stuff that we added into the script to give some context to her story and to give some context to her addictions and what was driving them. But yeah, we didn't end up cutting anything. If anything, we changed things within scenes just to either deal with character development or story. The Firefly scene became a much bigger scene than we originally anticipated. Without kind of telling them, giving too much away, but some of those bigger effect scenes actually became a bit bigger than we originally planned for, especially because we had an idea of what we could afford. And then once the day came and the visual effects guys are all on set, and they're like, you know what, let's just go. Let's do this and let's do that and let's just go. And so we kept actually making it bigger as we went without going over budget, just because they were so into the movie. They just wanted to keep adding stuff, and it worked. It worked well. So I was gratified by it.
Excellent. And I can't see, but what's the release schedule for this?
May 31st. So it's day and date. So it's theatrical and streaming all on May 31st.
This is playing in. You got any midnight movies playing on this? Because it seems like that kind of movie.
Yeah, I hope so. I haven't seen the release schedule, the theatrical release schedule, so I haven't seen what that looks like and where. I know that we just premiered it at a film festival. There's a handful of other film festivals throughout the year into October that want to continue, even though it's going to be out, they want to continue playing it at these different film festivals. So we're going to have a little bit of a film festival run through Halloween while it's actually available to everybody to rent at the same time.
Excellent. So I guess the response on this must be pretty good then if they're doing that.
The response has been really amazing. It's been really, you never know with a movie, and by the time you're done with it, ready for people to see it, you've been with it for so long, you've got no perspective anymore. And since we started promoting it, since the festivals, blah, 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 the response has been really good from people.
And you've done a couple things in the past. Have you had anything like that where you put out something, whoa, hey, I didn't think people were going to respond to it like this positively? And then have you had something else that you put out and said, oh, this is going to be real good, but just people didn't get it for whatever reason?
Funny enough, so just a few years ago, I did these two back-to-back movies, Cult Killer and The Cleanup Crew. One was a dark thriller and one was a comedy. And I really, Cult Killers, the response to Cult Killer, it was Antonio Banderas and Alice Eve. The response to that movie was incredible. I mean, Sony ended up picking it up for a big theatrical release. And then Cleanup Crew, which was this sort of zany action comedy that I thought people were going to really latch onto. It did fine. It just didn't take off the way I expected it to. So yeah, you literally never know. And I stopped trying to even figure it out. I'm just like, I want to make a movie that entertains me. Hopefully it entertains other people. And at least so far, Speed Demon's doing that.
It's still gotta be like disappointing though. Like, you do something that's like, oh, this scene's so good, I can't wait, and then just nothing. But then here's this little thing you just kind of threw together, and everyone's freaking out. It's like, wait, that? You didn't like this, but you went for that. Okay, whatever.
Oh yeah, no, trust me, you have to have thick skin. You have to have thick skin because it is definitely a big career of ups and downs. That's for sure.
Cool. Well, before I let you go, I just want to get a movie recommendation from you. Either something that something that's personal to you, or a movie that's like, this is really good and no one talks about it.
I mean, probably I'm probably wrong about the fact that nobody talks about it, but Martyrs. Martyrs is a movie that the French Martyrs is a horror movie that sort of changed my life.
I think there was a time about when that came out where everybody was talking about it, but that's not anymore. Time moves
Yeah,
on.
no,
I have
yeah.
not heard I've not heard from Martyrs in a while, so that's a great pick.
Yeah, that's one that every time I remember the first time I watched it, it got done, and I sat there in stunned silence for at least 3 minutes, and then had to start the movie over and watch it again. And I showed it to multiple people since then, and it's the same reaction every time somebody new watches it. So I love to tout that one.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining me, and congratulations on the movie. And yeah, can't wait to see this at a midnight showing somewhere.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it.